Good evening, goeienaand. I hope you're all having a lovely weekend. Okay, I'll just get the side chat going. Please feel free to participate there and chat away. I'll join you after the presentation. Okay, now, last Sunday, someone asked in the side chat about migration to the Fiji Islands, which is located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And I'll just show you a map of that. Here we go. Okay, so there's Fiji. It's about 3.5 hours by plane from Brisbane. It's, as I said, it's right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place, but we'll have a look at that now. Okay, I happen to know a lot about Fiji, having traveled there many, many times. I've put together a presentation today so you can get to know more about the Fiji Islands as a migration option. Lots of Australians settle there because the environment is so damn good, as you will see. At a governmental level, the Fiji and Australian governments are very close and work together in many ways. Now, what I'm going to show you next is a map of the actual close-up map of the Fiji Islands. And that gives you a really good idea of, it's got something like 1,000 islands on it. Okay, let's move on. Oh, by the way, if you can hear a bit of music in the background, that's actually Fiji music playing. I thought I'd just add that touch. Okay, let's look at a short clip to give you a taste of Fiji. And we'll look at a few, but we'll start off with this one.
I know a place where happiness lives, where it waves out from every corner. Happiness lives here, because here it's not hunted, not chased or pursued. You simply come here and happiness will find you.
Okay, there you go. That just gives you a bit of a starter on what Fiji's all about. Give me a second just to get this going properly here. All right. Okay, first off, the correct name for Fiji is actually Fiji Islands, because the territory is basically, as you could see, over 1,000 small islands and two larger ones, which are called Viti level and Vanua level. To give you an idea of the size, it takes about 6 hours to drive around the entire coastline of the largest island, Viti level. So it's a big island, but it's not huge. Interestingly, Fiji is about as far removed from Africa as you can get. In fact, if you dug a hole through the earth from Viti level, the main Fiji island, you would land up near Timbuktu in Mali in Africa. So if you want to get away from Africa, you can't beat Fiji. Okay, this video gives you an excellent idea of some of the islands. There are just 9 that are covered in this video. It's not very long, but here we go. Okay, that gives you a great idea of what Fiji Islands are like. Let's look at some of the areas that you need to know about. First of all, there is a small amount of crime in the major cities like Nadi and Suva, the capital, but crime generally is unheard of, and I'll explain to you why. Most of the population in Fiji is made up of Indians and Fijians. Although there are a lot of white people living there now, the Indians rarely commit crime, and the Fijians face shame in their village if they commit crime. This shaming lives with them for their life, so it's not worth stealing. The Fijian people are recognized around the world as the friendliest people in the world, on Earth, and I can vouch for that. Many people in Fiji Islands live in a lifestyle similar to the colonial lifestyle of the old days in Africa, with Fijian domestic workers helping in the house and kitchen and in the gardens. The weather in Fiji is amazing. Balmy weather, better than Durban, I can tell you. The islands have no pollution, except for the population, the largely populated areas like Nadi and Suva. And there it is generally minimal. The coral seas and sandy beaches are the finest in the world, as you've already seen. In the late 1990s, I established a project in Fiji aimed at generating income for the local villages. The project was a great success, and after 10 years, the villagers were able to set up their own direct village homestays through websites like Airbnb. And while I'm just thinking about it, English is the main language in Fiji, so everybody speaks it. Now, in this video, you'll get a real good idea of how safe the Fijian villages are, and get to know the Fijian community that embrace strangers into their villages. The video is directly associated with my online village homestay business, which, as I mentioned earlier, aims at helping Fijian villages. Okay, here we go. Have a look at this. Let's get it up.
The power of the internet is an amazing thing. From my computer at home, I have organised to stay in this tiny Fijian village. Now, I have actually been to Fiji a few times before, but never have I lived with the locals and thrown myself into village life. So I've come armed with a few gifts. I've got some rugby jerseys and footballs from home, and this is from the 24-hour Carver store. This will be my first offering to the village chief. So how about you slip into Fiji time and we'll go and meet the locals. The little community of Namatakula is about an hour's drive west from the capital, Suva, on Fiji's coral coast. This is one of 8 villages travellers can now stay in thanks to a great new website called fijibure.com. Namatakula is home to around 400 very proud locals and is relatively prosperous by Fijian standards, yet it is still quite traditional. Living like the locals does mean first paying respect to the chief by asking for permission to stay in the village. Vanaka. Now, you might have heard, Carver tastes a little bit like muddy water. That is true, but it also has a numbing effect on your lips, so too much and you won't be able to talk for too long. I'm not very good with alcohol, and I have to say it has an immediate effect on me. I kind of like it though. After taking care of some chiefly business, it is time to get settled. Now, I should warn you up front, accommodation in these villages is pretty basic, but fijibure.com assures me that their rooms are always clean and they're always comfy. And I can guarantee you that as a guest in Simon and Judith Badibasaga's house, you will never go hungry. Why do you like having people stay here?
You know, like coming to Fiji and staying at the hotel is not like staying in the village. In the village, you meet the Fijian people and you stay with them, you eat with them.
What do you think the villagers think about having tourists come to stay in their village?
Oh, it's okay, because it's a source of income to the village. You know, like with now, homestays, for every guest that stays with us, $5 per person per night goes to the village.
But the real value for travellers is the privilege of being welcomed with open arms into every aspect of village life.
Digital camera, vitally important. Oh, beautiful! Beautiful Naka. Thank you.
Okay, now Namatakula may be small, but it has produced a string of prominent league and union players, including its most famous son, Wallaby winger, Lotte Takiri.
What's it like for Lotte Takiri when he does actually come home to his village?
Lotte Takiri is loved by everyone. Wherever he goes through the village, children are just following him. And even the elders do something special for him because he has done a lot for the village of Namatakula.
But you don't grow up to be as strong as Lotte Takiri unless your mum feeds you very, very well. And in Fiji, there is no meal more substantial than the legendary lovo.
With the pig, where did the pig actually come from?
That Iso's pig farm.
Oh, from the pig farm. Oh, that's okay. Did you have to kill her?
Yeah.
Did you? How'd you do it?
We killed them. We killed them up in the water.
Oh, right, in the bushes, away from the children.
Yeah, the children.
And was it a... Okay, then. I love pork, so I don't mind.
The lovo is a huge part of traditional Fijian life. And as a guest of the house, you are more than welcome to join in the preparations.
For tonight's lovo, we're also going to have seafood. So Izzo and I are heading out to catch it. Fresh is best. Now, I have to say I have never actually been spearfishing before, so I'm going to just watch and learn. But Izzo, what's our prize fish? What are we hoping to catch today?
Parrot fish gonna catch today. I'll try my best because it have more meat.
Nice and juicy.
Yeah, good for logo.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Don't spear me.
Now, I must admit, spearfishing is not something that we generally like to show on Getaway. But Isso has told me he never hunts for sport, only to put food on his family's table. And so, with the last course in the bag, it is time to head back to the village for the feast of a lifetime.
If your favourite thing about Fiji is the people and learning about their culture, then I think a homestay might just be for you. Not only do you get to raise money for the village and see where your money is going to, but you are never going to experience anything like this, not even close, if you stay in a hotel. Isn't that right, Judith?
Yes, keep eating and don't worry, be happy. When you come here to Namatakula, you should come with a big tummy.
Okay, I think that means I've got to keep eating. Okay, thank you, Judith.
Namatakula is about an hour's drive west of Suva. FijiBure.com has accommodation starting at around about $60.
Okay, that gives you a really good idea of what village life is like in Fiji. You can see it's they don't have shanty towns. I should say that there are a couple of shanty towns near the big cities, but in the villages they have a fantastic lifestyle. And the shanty towns in the big cities aren't all that big. The population, the entire population of Fiji is about 1 million people. Okay, let's continue. There is a growing farming community who take out 99-year leases on land. I mentioned 99-year leases in an earlier video as an option for farmers who perhaps did a deal with a group like the Griqua. But in Fiji, the land is owned by the people. But as I say, you can get out 99-year leases, and that gives you a lot of time to really develop the place. And of course, your family can continue with that 99-year lease. There are huge opportunities for people with skills that can be used to help the community. At the end of this presentation, I will provide you with the links below to the Fijian Immigration Department's website. And in a little while, I'll let you go through the types of visa you can apply for in Fiji. And perhaps the most interesting one is permanent residency for people who are older. And this is why I really wanted to run this video past you. Okay. Financially, Fiji has been going through a period of unprecedented and sustained economic growth in the last 6 years. This is realized on the back of huge government investments in infrastructures, improving existing roads and building new road systems, bridges, airports, and communications networks to unlock and realize Fiji's full economic potential. It's a very progressive country. This positive broad-based economic trajectory registered a 5.3% growth in the GDP in 2014, and it continues today, particularly with the support of the private sector. This is translating into the increased economic activities, rise of employment, a decrease in income inequality, a significant reduction in the levels of hardship and poverty, and a rise in the country's overall standard of living. The government's objective is to build a better Fiji for all Fijians, and they're doing a damn good job with the help of Australia. There will be improved welfare for all, including good health and education, better housing, universal access to energy, potable water, and sanitation, strong institutions, good governance, and minimal crime, sustainable urban areas, empowerment of all women and girls, and a sustainably managed land, and, of course, those beautiful oceans that you're seeing. The 2013 Constitution already provides the required sustainable platform for this structure reform, because it contains a Bill of Rights that provides every Fijian with socio-economic rights that include rights to education, to economic participation, to work, and a just minimum wage, to realize access to transportation, to housing and sanitation, to adequate food and water, to social security schemes, to health, freedom from arbitrary evictions, and to environmental rights. Okay, so it's a very progressive country. Now, what I'm going to show you is the last video of Fiji, and it is a great video. It lasts about 5 minutes, but it'll give you a really good idea of the lifestyle that you could enjoy in Fiji. Here we go. And then we'll have a look at the visas.
The island nation of Fiji is situated in the shimmering South Pacific between Hawaii and Australia. 2/3 of Fiji's 330 islands are uninhabited, making it one of the most unspoiled places on the planet. Fiji's jagged reefs and warrior culture kept European explorers and traders at bay for centuries. The result is a society that's preserved its communal traditions and deep connections to the land and sea. Today, Fiji is one of the friendliest places on earth. The Fijian greeting Bula means life and good health. You'll hear it within minutes of arriving, and before long, you'll be calling it out with equal gusto. The main island is Viti Levu. This is home to 85% of Fiji's population, which consists mostly of Melanesian and Indian peoples. A 2.5-hour drive from Nandi International Airport is Fiji's capital, Suva. Wander the streets filled with colonial architecture, browse the markets, or simply hang out with locals by the sleepy harbour. From Suva, head west along the fabulous Coral Coast. This 50-mile stretch of beaches and bays is fringed by a coral reef that literally touches the shoreline. No need for dive boats here. Just pull on a face mask, step from your resort into the water, and discover why Fiji is known as one of the world's great snorkeling and diving destinations. Fiji's main island offers plenty of inland adventures too. Take in the scents of the Fiji Spice Gardens, zip line through the forest canopy, or climb aboard a four-wheel drive for a Highlands adventure tour. A trip into Fiji's rugged interior provides a great window into the lives of the Fijian people, who open their classrooms, homes, and hearts to visitors. When you're ready to explore Fiji's smaller islands, head to Denarau, just a 15-minute drive from Nandi Airport. Denarau's marina is the gateway to two of Fiji's most popular getaways, the Mamanuca and Yasawa island groups. Getting to the islands is easy, but requires just a little forward planning to ensure you make your transfers. The only hard part is deciding which islands to visit. In Fiji, they have a saying, each bay its own wind, and this is certainly true of its islands. While some islands cater to all tastes, others are tailored to specific types of travelers. Situated in the Mamanuca Marine Park is tiny Beachcomber Island, known as the Party Island. Also in the Mamanucas, float away into a world of total relaxation at Malolo Island's Liku Liku Resort. For those traveling without children, Liku Liku offers a range of sanctuaries perfect for connecting with that someone special. Nearby, Castaway Island is the perfect place to spend quality time with family and to watch your children rediscover the natural world. Just to the north of the Mamanucas lay the Yasawa Group, a chain of 20 island jewels. The twice-daily catamarans from Denarau take between 3 to 4 hours to reach the Yasawas, but the journey from island to island is half the fun. Life here is about as unhurried as it gets. Wander the paths and hilly trails between villages. Glide with gentle giants. Explore beaches where the only footprints will be your own. There are also plenty of short adventures available from Port Denarau. Cruise out to tiny Tivua to sample the best of island life in just one day. Or hoist sail aboard a coral cat and explore the pristine marine environment of the West Coast and beyond. Fiji is a paradise for fishermen too. Join a charter and you'll soon be reeling in delicious reef fish for dinner. Fijians love music. Everywhere you go, you'll hear the heartfelt sound of singing and guitar. But if there's one thing Fijians adore more than music, it's children and family. And it's that sense of family and belonging that will soon be extended to you. Bula, welcome to Fiji. Welcome to life.
Okay, that's the last of the videos I'll be showing you of Fiji, but you can obviously YouTube and have a look for yourself. Okay, there are a couple of questions that have been asked in the side chat. I'll just respond to them before we get on to the visas that you can apply for. Shell, yeah, once you're a citizen, you can never actually own land in Fiji except for in specific areas, and they're mainly in the residential areas you can own land. But the farmland is basically lease only. Yeah, lots of fresh water, Benita, no problem there at all. And they are great rugby players. Okay, let's continue with the presentation, and I'll just go through the various visas that are available to you. Okay. This is the one that I think will be of interest to people in particular. It's a residence permit based on assured income. I'll put a link to this visa in the comments directly below the video after the presentation. A residence permit on assured income under Section 48 of the Immigration Regulations of 2007 may be issued to a person who has assets outside the Fiji Islands at his or her disposal that are sufficient to ensure that he or she will not become a burden on the government while residing in Fiji. Now, as the cost of living is considerably lower in Fiji than Australia, the amount of capital required for this type of permanent residency is much lower than the comparable visa offered by Australia. I can't give you a figure on it, but it's something that you could actually get information about. If you have money offshore, this could be an option for you to get permanent residency in Fiji. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you're elderly and on a pension, that can be taken as part of your income under this visa in Fiji. So what this option does is remove the age barrier that applies to most elderly people wanting to migrate to Australia. Okay, next one. Now, work permits are actually for 3 years, okay, so they're not permanent, but you can get permanent work in Fiji. But the visa that I've just want to discuss here is actually the work permit for 3 years, and it'll give you the time to actually decide whether you want to stay there as well. Okay, foreigners must apply for a work permit. You can apply to the Director of Migration of Immigration in the government buildings in Suva, Fiji. You can't apply through a consulate. Now that's important. You've actually got to write or contact or communicate directly with the government in Suva. Work permits are granted to people in specialized professions like religious workers. Now, if you're a priest or something like that, Fiji is a very, very religious country, and priests are often used to teach the kids as well in villages. So we got religious workers, teachers, nurses and doctors, professors or lecturers with written employment contracts from local institutions. So what you need is a local institution to say, hey, we want this guy to work for us. Work permits are also granted to people who have specialized skills not available in Fiji already. These positions must be advertised locally at first to make sure that no one in Fiji can fill that spot. If a work permit is granted, it gives you permission to enter, reside, and work in Fiji for up to 3 years. Your employer and you have to complete the applicant process jointly with the Director of Immigration for your work permit. And it only allows you to work for that employer, so you can't go and change job afterwards. Unless you get permission from the Director of Immigration, okay, so you can only change employer if you get permission from the Director of Immigration. Keep in mind the Director feels like it, another person in Fiji could potentially be trained to replace you in your job. Okay, so that's the work permit. And the other one that's of interest, I think, to South Africans is you can actually claim for asylum in Fiji. And I'll just take you through that. A claim is made as soon as a person signifies his intention to seek to be protected or recognized as a refugee in the Fiji Islands to an immigration officer. So when you come through customs, you then put that claim in. Where a claim is made under subsection 1 of the Fiji Immigration Act of 2003, the claimant must, in the approved form, and be accompanied by the prescribed fee. Confirm the claim, which must include the following. Okay, so these are the things that you need to have if you're going to claim for asylum in Fiji. The grounds for the claim, i.e. you've been ostracized or you've been thrown off your land or whatever it might be. A statement explaining whether any other member of the claimant's family who is in the Fiji Islands and is also seeking to be recognized as refugees in the Fiji Islands. The grounds, if different, for the claim by the member of the family of the claimant, so you might have different reasons you want to claim asylum. A current address in the Fiji Islands and telephone number or other prescribed means of contact in the Fiji Islands. And you must notify the Immigration Department of any change in the address, telephone number, or other means of contact provided. So the asylum seeker must establish the claim and then ensure that all the information, evidence, and submissions that the asylum seeker wishes to have considered in support of the claim are provided to the Immigration Department before the Permanent Secretary determines the claim. Okay, for the purposes of determining a claim, the Permanent Secretary may, 1. Seek information from any source. Oops. Second. Okay. For the purposes of determining a claim, the Permanent Secretary may seek information from any source except that the office is not obliged to seek any information, evidence, or submissions apart from that provided by the claimant, and to determine the claim on the basis of the information, evidence, and submissions provided by the claimant. Okay, the Permanent Secretary must not seek any information under Section 4 of the Fiji Immigration Act of 2003 on the applicant from the authorities of the country of origin. So they're not going to go back to South Africa and look for information on you. The Permanent Secretary may waive any fee required under this part. Now, I know that Fiji Islands have not been on many people's radar here, but believe me, it is an excellent option. And I'd suggest much better than somewhere like Panama, which some people here are looking at. Okay, that just concludes my presentation for Fiji. Let's have a look at the side panel and see what's going on. Hi, Super. Shell, you could, because they've got an international airport in Nandi, and wow, your youngest son works in the yachting industry. There's a huge yachting industry in Fiji. You're a naturopath. Okay. Look, what I suggest you do is, after we finish this live chat, I'll put the links down below, and contact the Immigration Department at Fiji if you're interested to have a look at them as an option. I'm sure they do, sir. The only thing you can do is put an inquiry in. Hey, Super. Look, it's basically a modern economy, William. So, you know, if you can, IT is obviously a growth area in Fiji. They have computers in all government departments. The main industry, Quentin, is, as you can imagine, tourism. They have a huge tourism industry. So if you're in the tourism industry and you've got special skills that could be required, you know, it could be an option. Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. I don't think Britain is a great place to go now. That's good to hear, Chester. Yeah, Wayne. Again, all I can suggest is put an application into the Fiji Immigration Department and see what they say, or even go to Google and search on employment Fiji and motor trade or something like that. Yeah, farming is big, Carl. There's some amazing farmlands there. I mean, if you're in farming, you know, growing things like bananas, you know, tropical type stuff, you know, you can have a huge business there. Yeah, yeah, it's a long flight. It's 3.5 hours from Brisbane to Fiji. You're very welcome, sir. What I'll do on Sunday nights is I'll probably look at other locations around here as well and come back to you with feedback and advice. You're very welcome, Quentin. Yeah, vegetables you could grow in Fiji without a problem. In fact, in the villages, they basically cut coconuts from trees and they grow different Fijian crops which do exceptionally well in that sort of climate. Oh, there are huge numbers of hotels. The time here in Australia is 4:30 a.m. In Fiji, it would be 2 hours in front of me, so it would be 6:30 in the morning there. I don't think so, Wayne. I think that's the problem. I think the media are just covering it all up. Yeah, William, that's a good area, veggies. I just like to help Quentin. That's why I'm doing this. That's excellent, Emery. That's great to hear. Which part of Australia? I don't sleep. You're very welcome, Alan. If there are no further questions, I'll wrap up and see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. And we'll have another subject to go through and have a look at some ideas there as well. Yeah, look, I have to tell you, Fiji is a beautiful place. No, I'm actually a single guy, Quentin. I enjoy doing YouTube, yeah. You're very welcome, Chester. You know, I've always been interested in politics, and I'm an author, so I've written several books, and this to me is like another way of writing. Karine, the only thing you can do is, I suggest your first step is to Google Fiji employment and plumbing, and see if you come up with anything. And if you do, then perhaps contact whoever it is. And then once they give you, if they do give you an offer, you can then go to the Fiji immigration and get that work permit to start with, 3-year work permit. And then after that, you can look at permanent residency. No, Haas, I don't. No, this is basically it. You're very welcome, sir. Oh, look, it does. If you enjoy surfing, they have the most amazing waves there. It's a beautiful island. Beautiful set of islands. Take care, Quentin. Thanks for joining us. All right, if there are no further questions, I'll shut off the site or shut off the live stream and see you next Sunday. Okay. Take care. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Yes, I do, Howes. I'll actually put it at the bottom of the video, okay, just for a short while. I'll put it up in about 5 minutes for you, okay? Okay. Take care, everyone.